CPU, CPU scheduling. CPU scheduler, also known as short-term scheduler, is a component of the operating system. So, scheduler is the part of kernel that selects one of the processes from the ready queue and dispatch it to CPU. So, scheduler will select one of the processes from the ready queue. Ready queue is a list of all the processes that are residing in the main memory and are available for execution. So scheduler will select one of these processes from the ready queue and allocate this process to CPU. In a single processor system, only one process can execute at any given time, and the remaining processes must wait until the CPU becomes free. So after the CPU is free, then the other processes can be scheduled on the CPU. Process execution consists of a cycle of CPU execution and IO wait. This means process execution has two stages: CPU execution stage and IO wait stage. In CPU execution stage, process will be executing on the CPU. So CPU will be busy when a process is in CPU execution stage. In IO wait stage, process has made an IO request and CPU will be waiting for the completion of the IO operation. So CPU cannot execute the process because process has issued an IO request, and until this IO request has been completed, the process must wait. So CPU will not be able to execute this process any further until the completion of IO operation. Hence, CPU sits idle during IO wait stage. So when the process will be in IO wait stage, the CPU will remain idle. It will not perform the execution because process has been blocked until the IO operation will be done. So during this time when CPU is idle, it results in the decreased CPU utilization. So we have the issue here that how could we increase CPU utilization? The answer is multiprogramming. Multiprogramming is a technique by which we can increase CPU utilization by making use of this idle time productively. So multiprogramming is a solution to CPU idle problem. CPU idle problem is a problem when CPU is idle because the process has been blocked and CPU is waiting for the completion of that IO operation so it could proceed with process execution. This figure shows the multiprogramming, that how it can be implemented. The main memory holds the operating system as well as three processes: process 1, process 2, and process 3. Rest of the memory area is empty. So the idea of the multiprogramming is keep several processes in the memory. As you can see from this figure that there are three processes in the memory. So CPU always has one to execute. So whenever a process will be blocked due to some IO operation, the CPU can select from the remaining processes in the memory. So whenever a process has to wait for IO, operating system selects another process for execution on the CPU. And if this new process is also blocked due to IO operation, then operating system will select the next available process from the memory. The part of the operating system that selects from the ready to run processes is called CPU scheduler. So CPU scheduler is the part of the operating system that will select from the ready to run processes. Ready to run processes are those processes which are in the main memory, and these processes are ready for execution. So how does the CPU scheduler know which processes are ready to run? That which processes are ready, are available for execution? How does the CPU scheduler will come to know about these processes? The answer is ready queue. Ready queue is a list of all the processes in the main memory that are ready and waiting for CPU allocation. So ready queue is a list of the processes in the main memory, and these processes are ready. This means these processes are waiting for the CPU allocation. This figure gives the idea of the ready queue. As you can see from this figure that ready queue holds three processes: process P0, P1, and process P2. This ready queue is maintained in the main memory. CPU scheduler will select one of these available processes in the ready queue and will allocate CPU to one of these processes. Suppose CPU has selected process P0 from the ready queue and will allocate CPU to this process P0. So P0 will be executing on the CPU, leaving behind two processes in the ready queue, P1 and P2. Now, during the execution of P0, considering our two-stage process execution model, there are two possibilities. The first possibility is that either process completes its execution and it exits from the system. The second possibility is that during execution, process has issued some IO request. So process will be blocked because it has issued an IO request. So until this IO operation is completed, process must wait and it cannot be executed by the CPU. So process will be removed from the CPU, P0 will be removed from the CPU, and it will join this IO waiting queue. Now, meanwhile, when the process P0 is in this IO waiting queue, CPU is idle. So scheduler can select from the remaining processes P1 and P2. It can select from these two processes and can allocate CPU to any one of these two processes. As soon as the IO device is available, the waiting process here, which was P0, it will complete its IO operation and it will join back the ready queue. So this process continues. CPU scheduler will be keep selecting the processes from the ready queue and will allocate these processes to the CPU, where two things can happen to the process. Either process can complete its execution or it can be blocked, making the CPU idle. Typically, Ready queue stores the process control blocks of the ready processes. Remember, these are not the process codes, are the process instructions. Ready queue contains the process control blocks of all those processes which are in the main memory and they are available for execution. Ready queue is not necessarily a FIFO queue. Usually, a queue is implemented as first in, first out fashion. However, ready queue is not necessarily a first in, first out queue. It may be a first in, first out queue, or it may be a priority queue. It can also be implemented as a tree or unordered linked list of available processes. Dispatcher is an operating system module that gives control of the CPU to the process selected by the CPU scheduler. So another part of the operating system is dispatcher. Dispatcher is invoked by the CPU scheduler after the scheduler has selected a process from the ready queue. So what dispatcher will do, it will transfer the control of the CPU to this newly selected process. Dispatcher is invoked at every process switch. So whenever CPU scheduler will select a new process for execution, dispatcher will be invoked. And dispatcher will save the context of the old process and restore the context of the new process. Suppose there is a process P1 that was in execution stage. And during execution, process P1 is blocked because it has made some IO request. So scheduler has selected another process from the ready queue. Suppose this process is process 2. So to transfer control to this new process, scheduler will invoke the dispatcher and dispatcher will save the state of this blocked process into its process control block. So save state into process control block 1. After this, dispatcher will restore the state from the process control block 2. So dispatcher will load the process control block for the process P2. And after this, process P2 will be executing. So the dispatcher operation involves switching context which means saving the state into PCB1 and loading the state from PCB2. This is known as context switch. That is, the process that has been blocked, its context will be stored, whereas the process that has been selected for execution by the scheduler, its context will be reloaded. The next operation that dispatcher performs is to switch to user mode because dispatcher works in the operating system mode or kernel mode. So in order to start executing the user process P2, operating system must switch to the user mode. So dispatcher will return to the user mode. After this, it will jump to the proper location in the user program to restart that program. So after switching from kernel mode to user mode, it will load the program counter register with the starting address of that instruction from where this process P2 will start execution. Dispatcher should be as fast as possible. because dispatcher is invoked at every process switch. So it must be fast enough to increase the performance of the system. Dispatch latency is the time that dispatcher takes to stop one process and start another process. So this duration, the time that dispatcher takes to save the context of the blocked process and to restore the context of the newly selected process, this time is known as dispatch latency. And dispatch latency should be minimized in order to increase the performance of the system.